As you've seen already, USDA zero-down loans are restricted to properties that are in eligible areas of the country only. Now, every state has some eligible areas, and some counties are actually entirely eligible. For example, in California, the following 20 counties that you see on your screen are entirely eligible for zero-down financing. This means that all geographic areas in those specific counties are entirely eligible for this particular loan. However, some counties, in fact most counties, like for example Riverside County in California, have both eligible and ineligible areas. Now, when the USDA rural development was first set up, it was to target populations that had 10,000 people or less. However, exceptions can be made for populations of 25,000 to 50,000, depending on how far they are from urban areas. So the million-dollar question is this. You've gotten pre-approved, you've got an agent, a realtor that you're working with, you're about to go out there and look for some homes, and you want to know which areas are eligible and which are not. Let's take a look. The USDA has set up a website where you can search either by an area or a property address. If you go to the address on your screen that I'm clicking on and look under property eligibility and then click on single family housing, you'll see that you have two options that show up on your screen. On the left, you can search by property address. You type in the property address right here and you click on Get Map, and the system will actually look that address up to see if it's eligible. And on the right, if you want to see more of a general area and get a feel for which areas around you are eligible and which are not, you would start right here to the right. Now let's try a property that's smack in the middle of an urban city like Nashville, Tennessee, that's unlikely to be eligible. So let's go take a look at this. 4431 Tyne Boulevard, Nashville, Tennessee, 37215. I'm going to go ahead and input that address into this little box. And as you can see, within a few seconds, the USDA eligibility map spits out the eligibility for that property. Now, it's a darkish orange color, and there's a clear note on there that says this address is not located in an eligible area. Now let's try this other address in what's somewhat of a more rural community in California. 4929 Canton Street, Yucca Valley, California 92284. I'm going to go ahead and input that address, click, and we can very quickly see that that particular property does fall in a lighter colored area, which means it's eligible. Now, as we said earlier, what if you don't have a specific property address in mind, but you want to get a general feel for which areas around you are eligible and which are not? You know, sometimes a simple railroad track can actually separate what's eligible and what's not. In Temecula, California, for example, Red Hawk Parkway, in a beautiful neighborhood, separates properties on both sides. One is eligible, and if you walk right across the street, the other is not. If you take a look at this USDA eligibility map, I'm zooming in here, of that particular vicinity in Temecula, and then if you compare the USDA eligibility map with a Google map of the exact same area, you can see that a particular street separates properties that were built around the same time, look very much the same, and yet one street has eligible properties and the other ineligible. So let's pick an area and see how the eligible and ineligible areas show up. I'm a little biased because at the time of this recording, I live in Riverside County, California. So I'm going to go ahead and click on California. And you'll see that even though California has 58 counties, only 30 are listed. Now this is because, as I said earlier, the other 20 in the state of California are entirely eligible. So there's no point doing a search in those areas, because if you live in those counties or you're looking for property in those counties, you'll already know that the entire geographic area of that particular county or those counties are eligible. So only 38 of the 58 counties in California have both eligible and ineligible areas. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on Riverside County, and the page brings me to a general map of the local area. Now, it's difficult to tell anything from what I'm looking at here. Now within the local area, I'm particularly interested in Sun City, California. So I use the zoom in button to zoom in. Now if I want to pan from left to right, for example, I just place the cursor on top of the map and move the hand around. And as I zoom in some more, I can tell vaguely, approximately, which streets act as the borders for the lighter color eligible areas and for the orange ineligible areas. Now, your realtor should be familiar with these eligibility areas, and if they're not, feel free to send them a link to this video. Now, keep in mind that in addition to the areas designated within this USDA map, certain areas have been designated special for eligibility purposes, even if the eligibility maps do not indicate so. And that's for one reason or the other. Some of the areas that are under that category were previously involved in a disaster. For example, Hurricane Katrina. If you go to that link, the USDA has set up a section where they list the areas, the cities, if you would, that are eligible for USDA zero-down financing, even if the eligibility map doesn't indicate so. For example, city of Carbondale, city of Freeport, over here in Ohio, village of New Miami, 3 areas in Oklahoma. So you've watched a quick video tutorial here on how to use the eligibility map of the USDA, how to search by your property address, or via more of a general area search to see which areas are eligible and which are not, so that you can then later zoom in on specific properties and specific streets and areas. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or get a hold of us through the contacts page, and thanks again for watching.